Alright everyone, welcome back again to more Umineko. I honestly like to consider this episode a little bit more of an introspective episode, as well as certain hints coming into fruition, if only ever so slightly, because we're still not certain if certain hints are rather truthful or if they're more of a misleading factor. But either way guys, I hope you all continue to enjoy. Thank you again for all love and support, and here we go. Alright everyone, and we're back. It made it feel as though they would no longer need their mouths to breathe.
なるほど。ジョージ、ジェシカ、マリア、ローザ、ゲンジの死体は誰が見ても一目で死亡が確認できるというわけですね。
Anyone looking at George, Jessica, Maria, Rosa, or Genji's corpses could confirm at a glance that they are dead.
ん？赤か。まあ、お師匠様にケチっても始まらぬ。そうとも。死んだふりなど絶対にありえぬ。誰もが一目で死亡を確認できる死体であるわ。
See, Virgilia actually names the corpses and confirms that anyone at a glance could tell that they're dead. But Beatrice says that these corpses are dead and she doesn't name them specifically. Why is that? Why does he just repeat exactly what Virgilia just said? If you just say these corpses are dead and you're not specific, then I could just assume that they're just corpses and that they're not the corpses of the people that are part of the family.
なぜリーヤは赤を？
さて、しかし、常にお嬢様のことを思われている方です。お嬢様に利する何らかのお考えがあってのことでしょう。
ふん。
But they had hidden the corpses here so that no one could use the red. Despite that, however, Ronov was right. Virgilia always thought of Beatrice first. The way that these corpses which Agap had gone to all the trouble for erasing had now been confirmed with the red made a slightly displeased expression rise to Agap's face. However, in the end, she remembered that she was only a guest and shrugged.
なぜガープに死体を隠させたのですか？
今回のわらわのゲームはすでに碑文が解かれているため普段とは変わっておる。今は夏日に仕え、夏日を守ることを目的にしているのだ。
彼らの死体を隠蔽することがどう夏日を守るのです？
向こうの手は大体読めてるの。多分これは夏日を追い詰めるための罠。おそらく第一の番のアリバイを突き詰めていくと、夏日以外の全員にアリバイが現れるのよ。
夏日様は、昨べは最初に親族会議を抜けられ、その後はお部屋で一人でお休みでした。お気の毒なことに、朝までアリバイが全くありません。
金蔵の存在はすでに否定不能とした。しかし一つだけ、それを打ち破る手が敵に残されている。
なるほど。夏日を追い詰め、金蔵は存在しないと自白させるわけですね。
敵の狙いはおそらくそんなあたりよ。親族会議をめぐる駒たちの動きから、わらわたちはいち早く夏日の孤立を察知し、その罠に気づき、こうして手を打ったのだ。
死体が消える。全員にアリバイがあり、運搬車は存在しない。魔女の存在を主張しつつ、同時に死亡説自体にも疑問を投じることで、夏日をギリギリ容疑者から逃すことができるわけ。
つまり、夏日様は第一の番の犠牲者が実は死んだふりだったと主張することが可能ということですな。
いとこ部屋で大勢がその死を確実に確認しているにもかかわらずですか？
確認など赤き真実に到底及ばぬ。彼らがいくら確かな死亡を見たと主張しようとも、人間界に赤き真実は存在しない。 死体が存在しない以上、夏日は彼らのその言い分を見間違い、トリック、もしくは彼らが全員嘘をついているなどで、いくらでも延々と言い逃れが可能なのだ。
赤き真実なき人間界においては、パーペチュアルチェックは最も有効な一手。
延々と相手を否定し合っての水かけ論、千日手。美しくないわ。
ですが、しかし美しさとは勝利の先に望むもの。勝利を得ぬ者が欲すれば毒にしかなりませんよ。
勝てば官軍というでな。
私にとっては美しくなくても、航海者の魔女たちはそれを退屈しないと呼んで好むのかしらね。
なるほど。今回のゲームの流れを把握しました。随分といやらしいものになりそうですね。
百も承知よ。そして私たちはすでに夏日がこれからさらなる罠に誘い込まれるだろうことを知っている。
罠？
うん。ラムダデルタ教が生み出す19年前の男を名乗る何者かがすでに夏日を脅迫している。もうじきの午後1時にとある客室のクローゼットの中に入り、息を潜めよと命じているのだ。クラウスを人質に取られ、夏日は逆らえん。
なるほど。必要ですね。かばいきれますか？
無論よ。何しろ夏日は犯人ではないのだからな。いくら犯人扱いしようとも、真実も幻想も我らに味方する。負ける道理などないわ。
Natsuki threw her cup of black tea to the ground in protest to show the anger that flowed throughout her entire body.
それはどういう意味ですか？私が疑わしいというのですか？
先に抜けられて自室に戻り、朝まで部屋を出なかったというお話は賜りました。しかしそれを証明していただかないとアリバイにはならないと申し上げてるのです。
証明？どうやって？
どうやってでも結構です。客観的にあなたには犯行が不可能だったと証明してもらえれば結構なのです。他の皆さんは協力してくださっています。夏日さんもそう邪険にされず、どうかアリバイとその証拠を示してもらいたいと思いまして。
そうよ。夏日姉さんには丸一晩の空白時間があるのよ。先に休むと言って会議を抜け、ゲストハウスへ行き、ジョージたちを襲ったかもしれない。
バカなことを言わないでください。どうして私がジョージ君を、そして何より自分の娘を殺さなくてはならないというのですか？
落ち着いて。私たちは等しく疑われてるわ。悲しいけど潔白の証明は各々がしなくてはならない。
ああ、俺たちだって疑いを晴らそうと必死に昨夜のアリバイ立証に頭を悩ませてるんだぜ。
夏日さんかて疑われて面白いはずもあらへん。悔しいと思うなら自分の潔白を証明する何かを探すのが先決とちゃうか？
The relatives spoke as though they were all under equal suspicion, but the mood about the place didn't feel so peaceful. Erica was still in the middle of confirming everything. But other than Natsuhi, who was unwilling to prove her alibi, everyone else had an alibi which was reasonably credible. Only Natsuhi, who claimed that just being suspected was an insult, was uncooperative with Erica, and her position began to grow more and more perilous. This parlor was no longer a place of comfort for Natsuhi, and the sound of the cup smashing had made that decisive.
バカバカしいことです。どうして娘を失った私が疑われるのですか？私 私が昨夜一人で先に休んだからと犯人と決めつけようとする悪意。こんな屈辱にはこれ以上耐えられません。
へえ、耐えられなきゃどうするの？あなたの無実を証明するアリバイを何か示してみせなさいよ。そんなものないくせにジョージを返して、この人殺し！
予算買えば。夏日さん、あんたも少し疲れてるんや。もちろんそれはわしらもや。少し楽にせんか。
だな。俺たちは少し気を張りすぎだ。
夏日おばさん、どこ行くんだよ。
アリバイ探しも犯人探しも実に滑稽です。台風が過ぎ警察が来れば全てが白日の下にさらされるのです。私たちが探偵ごっこをする理由など何もない。違いますか、エリカさん。
一般論的にはそうですね。ですが私にはそれをする権限がありますので。
Who gave her that authority? No one asked. It was an authority given by words of power from the higher world, so the pieces weren't even allowed to doubt it.
私は退出します。警察が来るまで皆さんのくだらない問答にも付き合うつもりはありません。私を疑うならどうぞご自由に。それを疑い晴らすことも私は警察に委ねますので。
It may be a bit late to mention this, but, well, no, this happens every time. As usual, the phone couldn't connect to the police. Nazi said the police would come, but that wasn't exactly true. Strictly speaking, the boat to pick them up would come tomorrow, and they would be able to use the radio on that boat to contact the police. Well, it's not like I'll let everyone live that long anyway.
夏日さん、一人になるのは危険だ。ここにみんなで一緒にいた方が。
いいじゃない。それも立派な証明かもよ。これで夏日姉さんが自室で殺されてたりしたら、それも立派な無実の証明だわ。
Unless she fakes her death too, possibly.
よせよ姉貴。夏日さんも俺たちも少し一服した方がいいだろうよ。明日まで体が持たねえぜ。
一服はしても油断はせずにね。明日どころか今夜も越せないかもしれないわよ。
夏日おばさん、部屋へ帰るならしっかり施錠して窓も鎧戸を閉めて安全にしててくれよ。俺は誰も疑いたくない。そしてそれ以上にもうこれ以上誰にも犠牲になってほしくない。
ありがとうバトラク。では私は部屋に戻ります。ゴーダー、あとは任せますよ。お客様にせめてこのような状況ではあってもご不自由をおかけしないように。
はい、奥様、心得ております。
With everyone watching her, Natsui left the parlor. From their faces, she could tell that they were expecting the classic mystery pattern, that the first person to quarrel and leave the circle would become the next victim. I wasn't thinking that at all. In fact, her acting this way and leaving makes her even more suspicious. It's terrible, but it's true. Natsuhi couldn't disobey because of the threat against Kraus, who had been taken as a hostage. Very soon it would be 1 p.m., the time that had been arranged. She was to hide for an hour in the closet of a specific guest room. It was easy to suspect that this bizarre order was a trap to select her as the next sacrifice. She thought of various ways to resist, but all methods would be useless against a culprit who had a hostage and was observing her from close by. So Natsuhi could do nothing but obediently follow his orders, and then claimed that she had been forced to do this for her husband's safety. As the arranged time had drawn near, Natsuhi had intentionally acted annoyed and smashed the cup on the ground to give her an excuse for slipping out of the parlor. At any rate, no matter how cowardly a trap it may be, I cannot disobey now. I am now the one who carries the burden of the one-winged eagle. Now that my husband Kraus has been captured, I must protect it even if I have to crawl through the mud. Of course, I am prepared to do that. I am Ushiromiya Natsuhi. Even if I am not permitted to bear the one-winged eagle on my clothes, Father gave me permission to bear it in my heart. I think dashing away in a rage got me here without raising too much suspicion. So far, everything has gone well. Before my eyes was the doorknob of the specified guest room. However, I wondered about the lock. The servants are under orders to always lock any unused rooms. What will I do if it's locked? I dashed out of the parlor pretending that I was returning to my room. Going back and asking a servant to unlock this guest room would be obviously suspicious. If possible, I'd like to get this eerie hide-and-seek over with without anyone noticing. In that phone call from the one who claimed to be a man from 19 years ago, he said that I would win if no one found me, but lose if anyone did find me. He said that he'd release my husband whether I won or lost, but as a person with a hostage taken against me, I'd rather not lose. I don't like it at all, but I have to go along with this game. I softly gripped the doorknob and I could feel that it was unlocked. Did Shannon or Kumasawa forget to lock it after cleaning? Or did that man unlock it in advance? That man couldn't be waiting for me in this room, could he? And then he'll... See, if the servants are the ones that have the keys, then one of them has to be in the know, or one of the servants is the phone caller that's threatening her right now. All that about hide and seek might have been just an excuse. I kept the fact that I was coming here secret and all the other people think I'm resting in my room. If I were to be killed in this situation, in this room, it might create a new baffling murder case like an extension of the one which occurred this morning.
そうならば、むしろ好都合です。犯人と直接対決する良い機会ではありませんか。
Natsu had some experience with using a naginata, but only from casual lessons. Unlike Ava, she couldn't brag about being able to hold off any single ruffian indefinitely. As she was now, she had no realistic chance of prevailing over a man with a malicious intent on her own, and no weapons that could make that possible. She readied herself and slowly opened the door. She couldn't afford to stand around the corridor and risk being seen by someone. The atmosphere inside the guest room was ice cold, and she could sense no trace of a person waiting impatiently for her. All she could hear was the unsettling sounds of the wind and rain. At first, that seemed to be proof that no one existed to threaten her, but before long, it only stirred up the uneasy feeling inside her all the more. The closet was just off to the side of anyone entering the room. Lined up inside it was a set of hangers where guests could hang their coats. This closet, which had nothing hanging in it, was large enough for even an adult to hide in. She softly opened the closet. Of course, there was nothing inside. She would have to hide quietly in here for an hour. The room had a wood floor, but something like a carpet had been laid in the closet. It seemed that sitting down wouldn't be a problem. She had been sure that someone would be waiting for her in this room, or that a strange letter would be lying in the closet. She had even imagined the worst, that her husband's corpse might be inside. However, none of these things she imagined turned out to be true. All that was here was a cold guest room, and a lifeless closet which silently urged her to go inside.
この中に1時間隠れていろというのですね。馬鹿にした話です。
Natsu shrugged, turned around, and locked and chained the guest room door.
これでこの部屋には誰も入れないではありませんか。つまり1時間の間誰にも私を見つけることはできない。私の勝ちです。バカバカしいかくれんぼですね。
This would certainly result in a total victory in hide-and-seek game against the mystery man. However, it was such an easy victory it made her feel uneasy. This is normally against the rules of hide-and-seek. Even if I win, won't this displease the culprit? And everyone thinks I'm in my room right now. If they find a room with a chain set, that would be an impossible locked room to them. Erica was dashing around the mansion to confirm everyone's alibi. If she notices that the chain is set on this room, there will probably be an uproar which will end in them cutting the chain and searching the room. If that happens, I'll be found hiding in the closet right away. It would be easy for me to honestly confess why I was hiding, but that man insisted that I not reveal that. If I tell them, I might be endangering my husband. Thinking of it that way, setting the chain, no, even locking the door might be a bad idea. That's right. This room was unlocked when I came here. If it were to suddenly become locked, it's conceivable that it might catch someone's attention. It's better if I don't do anything unnecessary. That man only told me to hide.
結局 言いなりになるしかないのですね。
I hate doing it, but I can't disobey. I undid both of those two precious locks, went into the dimly lit closet filled with the smell of old wood, and managed to close the door from the inside. Pitch black. It reminded me of when I was young, when I used to hide somewhere and then surprise my mother. But that peaceful recollection wasn't enough to kill off my anxiety. It really is pitch black. From in here, I won't be able to check my watch to see if an hour has passed. I'll probably need to open the door a crack every once in a while to let in the light from my watch. For now, I sat down and folded my legs. I thought about holding my knees to my chest, but it hurt my back when I tried. I'm not as young as I used to be. Even though I and the rest of my class were made to sit on the floor clasping our knees in every PE class as grade schoolers, I now have to struggle just to sit down. Just sitting down here for an hour will probably hurt a lot. I can't believe he expects me to sit in the darkness for a full hour listening only to the wind and the rain. Ironically, Natsuki had made Jessica do the exact same thing in the past. She had done it to scold Jessica's persistent bad habits and teach her a lesson when she was a little girl. She had thought that making Jessica stay put in the darkness would sprout a desire to reflect on her mistakes, and that this way she would understand what she had done wrong. To Natsuki, it almost felt like she was being made to do the same thing. If that was the true purpose of this hide and seek.
甘えた考えです。
This must be my naivety, the hope that if his goal is to make me repent, nothing will happen here during this hour. Uncertainty and fear of that man's shadow are not what I need right now. Will someone suddenly come to this room, open this closet, and do something horrible to me now that I've come here in total secrecy as promised? That's what I should be worrying about. The culprit, or one of his accomplices, is very close by. If they weren't, they wouldn't be able to observe me so thoroughly. I don't want to think it, but it's highly likely that the culprit bought off one of the other servants. The culprit was able to hide in an eerie card with Autumn written on it in my room. My personal room is always locked. That trick wouldn't have been possible without a key. Instead of believing that they obtained the key when the servants weren't looking, it's much more realistic to assume that one of the servants lent the culprit a hand.
しかし、どうして私の好きな季節が秋だと。
Well, they're probably close to you. And it's probably a servant. Or maybe your daughter, which also makes no sense because I don't think your daughter would go out of her way to torture you. But when they did bring up the whole punishment of how she would send Jessica to the closet to make her repent, that brings to mind that she could be the one because she's the only one that would, besides Natsuki, she's the only one. Unless the servants were around to know of what she did.
気持ちが悪い。
The thought that this mystery man might be peeking into my heart sent goosebumps running across my whole body. It's true that I like Autumn, but I've never said that out loud. Or it could be Kraus as well, but why would Kraus... I don't think anyone's ever asked me either. I could even ask my husband what my favorite season is and he would probably be stuck for an answer. No. There was one time I told it to a single person. That's right. Shannon. On an autumn day long ago, I happened to be in a good mood, and I mentioned that autumn was my favorite of the 4 seasons. I can't believe it. Then the culprit or one of their accomplices has to be Shannon.
私が秋を好きだというのはシャノンしか知り得ないこと。なら、これはシャノンが関わっているという明白な証拠ではありませんか。それをあの秋というカードが証明しています。なんということ。10年にもわたり当家の世話になりながら。
I trembled and shook with rage. Didn't Kinzo once say that the emotion of anger is the fastest sedative to cure fear and uncertainty? It's easy to tell the most fearful humans from within a crowd. They're always the first to get angry. I remember him telling me that. So I realized that this anger was a sign that I was actually frightened, and I tried my best to remain calm. However, this is a fascinating clue that I can use to turn things around. Shannon may not be reliable as a servant, but if she's the accomplice used by that mystery man, this might actually be convenient. Or it's Shannon and there is no mystery man. She's a timid girl. If I threaten her, she'll probably spill the name of the mastermind in an instant. The only reason why I'm denying the fact that it's a quote-unquote mystery man is because they still said that the character numbers haven't changed. It's still 18, I believe. There is no 19th person. So if that's the case, then one of them is acting the role. I'll tell the police about this in secret. I'm certain it will be a big clue that will help in arresting the culprit.
あのカードで私を驚かし、うまく手綱を取れたつもりだったのでしょうが、むしろ墓穴を掘ったようですね。
I never told anyone except Shannon that I liked Autumn. This is unshakable proof that she's working with the culprit. Though, I thought this time in the closet would crush me with uncertainty and uneasiness, it actually giving me the start of a counterattack. Okay, see, that actually makes sense too, because if that's the case, then during the time she would reprimand Jessica, I guess one of the servants did spot it, and it would be Shannon. If I hadn't been given this time in the darkness, I probably wouldn't have noticed this. I felt almost grateful to the culprit for making up this foolish game. My mood brightened. I still couldn't guarantee that my husband was safe, but I was determined to take him back and force the culprit to face judgment. So what if the culprit was blackmailing Kraus, which is why he had to pretend to be caught and act like however he acted on the phone. I gripped my fist tightly and further strengthened my resolve to avoid losing this fight at any cost. At that moment, I heard the sudden sound of someone trying to force a locked door open, and my heart leapt.
なんや、開いとったんか。
The voice was Hideyoshi's. I heard a quiet voice as though he was talking to himself coming from what was probably the hallway. Apparently, he had thought it was locked and tried to unlock it, but had ended up locking the unlocked door instead. Once again, there was the sound of the lock turning, and this time the door opened with a faint sound. Why is Hideyoshi-san in this room? Footsteps which sounded like his came in, and there was the sound of him closing and locking the door behind him. Then came what seemed to be the sound of him setting the chain. Don't tell me Hideyoshi-san is the mastermind, or else an accomplice. Is he planning to do something to me in this room? The door may only be locked from the inside, but it will still take some time to remove the chain. If Hideyoshi-san doesn't intend to let me escape from here, there's no chance it will give me time to fumble around with the chain. In that case, when he opens the closet door wide in just a moment, and looks down upon me sitting here pathetically, just what kind of horrifying words will he say? I don't want to be found. I don't want to be found. I beg you pass right on by the closet door. Please keep on going to the center of the room. My head was filled almost to the bursting with a throbbing sound so loud that I almost missed hearing his noisy footsteps. So when I heard a clunking sound coming from the center of the room, I finally realized he had passed by the closet and was deeply relieved.
念のためや。どうせこの天気じゃ夜と変わらんわ。
As he muttered, he did something that made a clunking sound. He was probably closing the shutters of the windows. Just in case. In case I try to escape out the window? No, that can't be it. That's right. When I left the parlor, everyone was talking about possibly taking a break. After all, several murders had occurred. And the weather was bad. There would be nothing abnormal about resting in a guest room here instead of returning to the guest house. Okay, if Hideyoshi dies here, and Natsu's in that damn closet, she's again gonna get framed. It's not gonna look good for her. In that case, locking up and closing the shutters to guarantee safety was the proper course of action to take. When he finished closing the shutters, there was a thunk as though he had flopped over on the bed. It was surprising how much of the situation could be grasped just by the sound. What's going on here? Did the man from 19 years ago plan all this out to put me in the same room as Hideyoshi-san? No, that probably isn't true. Clearly he planned on me hiding here, but Hideyoshi-san coming to take a rest here must have been outside the scope of his plan. Thinking about it that way, having him in the room might help to secure my own safety in an odd sort of way. Unlike his wife, Hideyoshi-san is the kind of person I can talk to. If Eva-san comes, things will probably get complicated. Maybe I should slip out of this closet now while he's still alone. Reveal everything just to him and ask for help. But if I do that, my husband might be killed.